It's the Stranger Nerds here with Season 2, Chapter 1 of MADMAX. Welcome back, everybody. I am Connor Vandermark. We have Mitchell Lee, Nick Izzo, and Tommy Grant. And it's the start of Season 2. And I am very excited over this because, more storylines. And as Tommy has set up the show, I watch one episode every single week, and I have that itch to watch more, and I can't. So I blame you, Tommy.
I love to torture you. Maybe if you're good, we'll switch it to 2 episodes a week.
But that means we're recording, and that means also more of my time. So,
well, that's something we'll have to figure out.
I like our setup, and there's not too many of these. I mean, we're already starting on season 2.
Yeah, they're pretty short seasons.
The short seasons definitely do help. So I thought we'll get into more in a bit, but I thought it was a very fun episode, and we'll start diving in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a new season. We got one thing Stranger Things does well is they love to introduce a whole bunch of new characters in each season, and they like to kind of sprinkle them all in the first episode quite well. So kind of just going down the list of the new characters, we got Sadie Sink, who plays Max Mayfield. We have I don't even know how to say his first name. Mitchell maybe can help me with that, but Dacker Montgomery.
I think it's Dackery,
Let's
Decorum.
go with Dacker. Let's go with Dacker. That sounds right. As Billy Hargrove, who is Max Mayfield's older stepbrother. We have Paul Reiser playing Dr. Owens, who is basically the new Dr. Brenner for this season, but so far sounds like a nicer version of Dr. Brenner. We have Brett Gelman as Murray, who is the fun, disgraced journalist turned conspiracy theorist. Linnea Berthelsen as Callie, and Sean Astin as Bob Newby. Bringing in the big guns with Sean Astin.
Before I get roasted about, because we were off before recording, that I'm a person who's good with faces and not names. And I saw the face. I was like, oh, he's very familiar. I'm not sure who he's from. And of course, the Lord of the Rings freaks are like, you don't know who Sam is?
Whoa. But before you slam on us,
who sounds like that on this.
Before we start slamming us just for loving Lord of the Rings.
No, I know. I love you guys for it.
Any other movies? Can you name any other movie he's in?
Honestly, I just had no faces. I can't tell you what other movies.
I can just see Mitchell's disappointment slowly brewing.
I'm not a movie person. I told you this. By the way, it is Dacre, as in like the acre field. So it's Dacre.
Oh, well, thank
you. That's what I get in first. Anyway, back to my unknown faces.
The Goonies. Yeah. Rudy, just to name a couple of the big highlight movies.
That's right. He's in Rudy too.
Yeah.
Well, no, he's in. There is no Rudy 2.
Ha ha ha.
Rudy 2, his second game where he gets pile drived into the turf.
I'm looking up now, like on the good old Google machine.
By the way, I think I should just go over some stuff because I am the more movie person. Dacre Montgomery was in Power Rangers movie in 2017 that was better than I thought it was going to be, and he was pretty good. He was pretty good in it, but it bombed and no one saw it, so it didn't get a sequel. Paul Reiser's been in stuff like Aliens, and he was also in Whiplash, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. Sadie Sink was in The Whale. I didn't really like that movie, but people seem to dig it. Brett Gelman is in The Other Guys and your local white supremacist rally. And nice. I've never seen the fifth person before in my life.
I think Mikey? She's a new actress. Connor, you look confused.
He's Mikey?
Yes. Mikey. Are you still looking at Sean Astin?
Yeah, I did not know
he's in the Sean Astin rabbit hole now.
I'm in the rabbit hole. I did not know he was Mikey at all. That never clicked until just now.
Well, we're making some progress for you in the Sean Astin world. Maybe
I see Lord of the Rings.
Tomorrow you can rewatch Goonies and relive the magic of Sean Astin.
I love the Goonies. It's a very, very fun movie.
My God, this guy has been in a lot of garbage in the last few years, but you know, This isn't that, at least. Just looking at his filmography and random like straight to
Are we still talking about
gas
Sean Astin?
station movies. Yeah.
Amazing Love.
I mean, he
You know how that
probably
is.
has a lot of money coming in just from Goonies and Lord of the Rings that he could probably just kind of do fun projects that he wants to do.
Money coming in from Goonies.
Hey, you never know. There could be some royalties in there.
Maybe.
It's a
Uh,
classic.
It's probably streamed enough.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Well,
yeah,
they
so
don't pay anybody, but Connor, you said that this was or was it Tommy that said that this was a good start for the second season?
I
I
enjoy it.
think
I
so.
thought
I
I
think
said
Stranger Things does a decent job at kind of introducing everything in the first episode and kind of just throwing it all out there, but not making it
Setting the
too big of a
table.
clusterfuck.
like it
Yeah.
was good, like quick hits. That's how I will put it.
Yeah.
I I don't really agree. And we'll
Well,
get
let's
into
hear.
why, but
Okay.
well, I figured that as we get into the different plot points,
All right.
well, I'll give my specifics, but this episode kind of felt like a whole lot of ain't shit going on.
Yeah,
To
that's
me
a fair
personally, and
assessment.
I know it's the
I
first
second
season
that.
or the first episode, but it kind of just felt like, I don't want to say it felt like the foreplay, but it felt more like washing your hands before doing it. It's like
I feel like a
nothing's
lot of
happened.
TV shows struggle with sequels, especially with the second season when they've had so much success with the first season. It's like, how do you proceed from there? Do you do the same formula as the first season? Do you change things up? And that's kind of where they struggle.
You don't want to get caught in the box of we're doing the same thing over and over again, but you also want to introduce new characters and do it in a way that feels organic. And while the majority of these characters I do like moving forward, and I do think that they are integrated well into Stranger Things, I'm not talking about the rest of, whatever. I don't want to get into specific spoilers as to who's going to do what or whatever, but like Max moving forward or Bob moving forward. I'm not here to, I'm just talking about this
Yeah.
particular episode, and it's just kind of dry right now. But I'm also willing to give it a little bit of leeway because it's not giving us too much because they are still setting up the intrigue to learn more about
Yep.
Max and Billy's, their what they have going on.
Now to pivot off of that, I do want to ask Connor and Nick after this first episode 2 questions. One, which
Okay.
of these new characters are you most interested in? And 2, do you think there's going to be any character deaths in this season?
Before I get into that, I did want to make a comment on Mitchell's point. I definitely see where you're getting there, but I especially like being like a season premiere, like I think it's okay in an aspect of like resetting the stakes because the fact they just had this high dramatic ending in the finale, and no, it's kind of like that. I guess with the exception, we'll get to it about Will, but like with the exception of Will, like there is that false sense of security I guess everybody else has, and I think they play that out pretty well. Like no, majority things have passed over. Um, well, with some exception of some characters, but like I think that was a great way to see this as people thinking this was a one-off thing, and no, trying to stage that where it's like, oh, it's just going to get turned on its head again, which of course I'm expecting. All right, so characters I'm most interested in. Nick, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I
That's
would say,
Connor's way of saying I have no idea whatsoever. Let me give it to Nick real quick.
I haven't.
yeah, no,
I
I
wanted to get my.
figured. I was actually kind of waiting for that, so I actually kind of, came prepared. Um,
Teamwork,
I
baby. Let's go.
teamwork, yeah. I would. I mean, I'm really not like that crazily interested, but I guess if I had to pick one, I guess Max would be the one because me being a
Okay.
fellow. Well, I'm trying to. I don't want to spoil too much, but me being a fellow gamer, I appreciated some of the things that occurred in the episode.
Okay.
And Tommy, you asked a question about do we think there's going to be deaths? Is
Yeah,
that what
this
you
could be
asked?
part of the main cast or part of the new oncoming cast. Do you think there will be any deaths this season? Because obviously we had a lot of deaths in the last season, but
Oh yeah.
none of
So
them were
this is
very consequential to the story.
oh yeah. So right away, honestly, my thought is Bob is gonna die.
Okay.
My theory why is because Joyce just recently had this nice reunion with her.
Can't let her have anything nice.
Yes, exactly.
Nick's
Yeah,
trying to
it's
take
exactly
everything
where I
from
was
her.
going. Is I feel like as soon as she has something good come back into her life, now life is just gonna take her again. And
Spoken like
I
a man
feel
who's
like
seen so many TV shows and movies, he can almost predict
so
things.
many shows and movies I predicted this. I'm like, you know what?
He was
How could
ready.
they mess her how could they mess her up further? Let's take away her only love interest she's probably had in the last 5-10 years. Like, let's just do that. So I think that's what's gonna happen. I don't know
All right.
how. Or even
I
if it will happen.
I
But
like
that's
the
my
answers.
guess.
No, this
That's
was
my
the most
guess.
enthusiastic answers you've given to a question so far on this podcast. I like it. Connor,
Probably because it was Sean Astin. I was just,
hey,
sad for my guy.
we all love
Sean
Sean
Astin,
Astin.
not Sean Bean. He's not guaranteed to die.
I mean,
It-
it's not Lord of the
it's
Rings,
true.
so anything's possible.
They were both in Lord of the Rings, and
Yeah, I know,
Sean
but
Bean
I
died.
didn't see an orc squad just, right outside the house with bows and arrows, like not this time.
That guy. Okay, I didn't know who Sean Bean was. I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
not
Jesus
again.
Christ,
Not,
Connor.
okay. When saw his face, I knew who he was. I just didn't know the actor's name.
All right, just give me
You
your
did
answers.
say
I
you
don't
were
have time
short
to.
with names.
I'm not opening up that can of worms.
I am definitely intrigued with Dr. Gilman, the not the doctor, I like Dr. but the Dr. Owens. Sorry, Gilman's the
Okay.
weird alien dude. I thought Dr. Owens was very interesting because we're getting no, we'll talk about it later. But like you can definitely tell Hopper has some distrust still with them. Um, but I am curious on the way that the DOE, the Department of Energy, is going to have a role again because the fact that no, they're the ones who started all the shenanigans, and what are they going to do to probably screw it up again, knowing them?
Yep.
Because I bet they have information already of stuff's going on, and they're probably having their wonderful hands in the cookie tray trying to get what is they think is theirs to fight the Russians because that's all they care about.
Yep. Absolutely. The good
He's
old
definitely
80s
evil.
Red Scare.
He's definitely evil.
We'll find out. Like,
Without a doubt, he's evil. 100%. He said the line that every bad guy, evil guy says, which is, "I need you to trust me." As soon as someone says that, bad guy, right away, done. Don't trust a damn word he says. That's exactly what's going on. Up to some
you're not
shady, no
wrong.
good business.
Um,
I'm telling you.
Nick is coming out with a lot of knowledge tonight, and I'm loving it.
character deaths.
Now remember, it could be part of the main crew or the new crew. It could be
Yeah.
anybody.
I'm not sure yet, honestly, because like it could be because there's some new characters we've gotten. Like we didn't get her name yet, but the one with the 008 on her hand,
That's
forearm,
Callie.
Callie. We never
Yep.
got her name. Oh, we did get her
Yeah.
name. We did.
It's not a big spoiler to give out her name, but
Yeah.
it's Callie.
No, they did give out her name in the van in the very intro scene. Honestly, my gut says the stepbrother at this moment. The
Really?
Dacre. Sorry, Dacre is the actor's name. Your show doc's confusing me a bit.
How? It says Dacre Montgomery as Billy Hargrove.
I understand that. I'm used to seeing characters' names first, then who they are.
Well, next time,
So he
next
just
season, I will make
admitted.
sure I follow the Connor logic and put it the other way around.
I
He
am a
just
mess today.
admitted that he understood it, but then said it was confusing.
Just
I no, I said I get it, but at the same time,
I
I'm
try
just
to make this as nice and straightforward as possible, but apparently it's not good enough for you, Connor. I'm sorry.
I'm having a few days, sir. You know that. I am cold right now.
You should have tried
Yeah.
harder, Tommy. What's wrong
I
with
should
you?
have.
Anyway,
I should
Billy.
have just taken off of work today and just spent all day making sure this was Connor perfect.
Oh man,
I guess what I appreciate that.
I was taking PTO
Billy.
time.
So Max's I guess stepbrother, which we haven't found yet, but
Okay.
because like kind of one of those tropes where it's like, oh, I cared about him even though he's an asshole, and I'm also sad that he's dead.
Okay.
And I can kind of see that kind of trope being played out.
No, that's some good thoughts. I like it. All right, so we'll move on from there. So another quick note I want to make sure you guys knew, because I had to look this up on the wiki fandom page. They kind of reference it in the episode, but the exact timeline of the show was the events of season 1 took place from November 6th to November 13th of 1983. And this episode we take place on October 29th, 1984. So it's basically a full year after the events of season 1. I thought it was important to note because sometimes shows just give no essence as to what the hell the time gap is between seasons. And that could be important. Because this could be a whole year of Hawkins Lab doing sketchy shit that we didn't know about. So, that being said, let's dive into the episode. So, we open up Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This is the first non-Hawkins, Indiana location, I think. October 29th, 1984. We see a group of individuals fleeing an apartment building in a van. Police pursuing them. A lot of crazy shit's going on. Nice little chase scene. And we see Callie do a nice little, I would say Jedi mind trick maybe. Little magic. Makes the police officer see the bridge collapse. Guy does the cliche move. He stops. All the cars just magically get stuck behind him. And we see 008 on her arm. What'd you guys think of that? Who was who was 008 in the movies? Was that Sean Bean's character?
I'm
Never
pulling
saw
up now.
Goldeneye, so
Could
All
not
right,
tell
you guys
you.
are disappointing me. All right,
could be in the
regardless of that,
N64 game though.
No, it was not.
we finally get proof that there was more. We kind of hinted at it, but we guessed at it. But now we have confirmation that there are other kids that were tested on besides just 11. We have number 8, and she's definitely showing different powers than 11, or at least different than we know that 11 can do. So where do you guys think she got those powers from? Why are they different?
Well, we do get in I guess, kind of the lore last season where 11's different because of the fact that, at least compared to the others, because of the fact that she was a child and her mother was on all these drugs when she was pregnant. So, that definitely could have a connection of why 11 could be a, I guess, souped up version. Because like they met, because Dr. Brenner, correct? That's the guy's name.
Yes.
He did mention that, or it was mentioned that he was doing research with the CIA project name again. I can't think of it. It's on top of my head.
I know you've only mentioned it. I know you've only mentioned it 100 times, but I forgot what it is called.
I know it's driving me nuts right now. I'll get around to that.
The CIA project, yeah.
Yeah. So like they mentioned they had some slight success, but like they didn't really go in deep with it. But still, like having ability to manipulate someone's mind like that and have them think that the bridge collapsed, even though it actually didn't, that's still significant. And isn't as would say as strong as powers as 11 is, but like still like they were doing what the hell they want these these I don't want to call them patients, but like test subjects pretty much, uh, just to try to make them into living weapons.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. It was kind of almost like a. It makes you think that it's almost like a Professor X type facility at this point. Um, for those of you that have seen Logan, the illegal facility where they were basically creating mutants from the genes of other X-Men, it gives me that kind of vibe
Yep.
when I first watched it.
Best X-Men movie by far, by the way.
MK
Oh,
Ultra.
Yeah.
absolutely.
MK
Michelob
Ultra
Thank you,
was the
Ultra?
Connor.
project. MK Ultra was the project.
That them too.
That's what drive me nuts and not me remembering that.
So that was our first scene of the episode. We got a new superhuman CIA weapon, and then we instantly go back to the party, who is doing what any kid did in the summer, I guess, back in the 80s, and scrounging around for coins for the arcade. I wish we lived in a town with an arcade because I feel like we would have been doing that too. But we just had a result to other fun games like Fruit Ninja with swords and stuff like that. And
Hey, the
we
ice
did.
rink had an arcade.
We only did that once.
I know, but it was still
Also.
fun.
The
But I always wish we had an arcade. Like we never had any like
That
cool
would've
place
been
to
nice.
go hang out like
As
kids.
kids,
no,
we had
the
the
ice
Yeah.
Willow Swim Club. What do you mean?
we had that one. We did have that. But we also had that one like batting cage that also had like an arcade and a basketball court and like
Oh
dodgeball and
yes.
stuff. Yeah, I don't remember
Wasn't
what
it
that was
Grand
called.
Slam or something like that?
I don't know. I was 10.
That kind of sounds like it
I
was.
just
the
remember
name,
that
to
that's
be
the
honest.
place. Oh my god, should I say this? Fuck it, who cares? I just remember that's the place that I pooped in a urinal.
Oh my
What?
God.
Magical childhood moments with Mitchell.
Should I say this and then proceed?
There was
Wow.
only one stall and it
That-
was locked and blocked off, and I was 9, so I'm like,
Hey,
fuck it, I'm
you
pooping
got to
in
do
the
what you got to
urinal.
do.
And then I just grabbed the piece of or paper towel and threw it in the trash.
Did what you had to do.
So
Was not expecting that.
Yeah, I was.
Sorry.
I was not,
But hey,
I was not
sorry
expecting
about
that
that,
either.
people.
We're moving
go
on
back.
from there.
I would say though, the ice rink that I played at did have an arcade in its basement. And I definitely remember scrounging for quarters for that because they actually had some decent games. It wasn't like Dig Dug or anything like they had in this one, but like they had like your Time Crisis and like the Jurassic Park one they had, and it was a racing game. You know, like your classics.
Yeah. But it was like growing up for me, like when we went to the beach in the summertime, like going to the boardwalk and just those big arcades. Like I loved going there. I wish we had like that in our town. Like we all just go hang out there. But anyway, it was kind of the 80s. It was the thing to do. And Mike doing the typical asshole younger brother move, just goes straight up into Nancy's room, breaks over the piggy bank, takes the money and ran. And I thought that was the fun. Like it was just classic sibling rivalry. Like Nancy's just so confused. They didn't even chase after him. I was like, if that was my money, I would have chased after my brother and be like, give me my fucking money back.
Yep.
And
I love the way
they all meet up
Dustin
with Will.
communicates with his mom too.
Yep.
She's like, they just like moan at each other, and then like he just finds coins in the chair.
It's
And
a very
again,
Okay.
no parents there holding him back or telling him to get back here. He just booked it out the door.
that was the first time we see Dustin's mom too, and
Yep.
you know,
Sure.
get to see a little bit more on his dynamic of him being home.
Yep.
Which I thought was, I thought it was a very funny and sweet moment between both of them.
It sets up. It's no spoiler by any means, but it sets up that Dustin, I think, only lives with his mother. When we see future scenes, we never see or hear about a father or a
Mhm.
sibling. So I think it's just him and his mom. So they have a very interesting dynamic in this show. But yeah, so we see them meet up with Will at the arcade, and poor Will, still a year later, and is being personally escorted everywhere he goes by his mother. And you could still, she's still paranoid, like asking questions like, "What time are you gonna leave? You still be with your friends?" And it's just like, like that's what I was mentioning in the timeline. It's
Normal
like
stuff.
no,
Well,
What?
to
it
be
was a little like
fair, to be
it's
No,
fair,
paranoia.
it's normal stuff as opposed to, hey, let me ask you about when you're going to be spending time with your friends. Not, hey, let me communicate with you through Christmas lights.
But like, he could have ridden his
Comparatively
bike with
speaking,
them. He could have met up with them. That
That's fair.
all the rest of the party are kind of free reigning around the neighborhood.
they're free range children.
Yeah, free range children, man, just
I
riding around, no worries.
I
Will's
don't
being personally driven everywhere.
I don't blame her though, because the fact that he's still having, like, as they think, PTSD episodes. So like, it's a situation, if he's by himself somewhere and he has an episode, he could put
Well,
himself in
I don't
danger.
think they are aware of it just yet.
No, but okay, I'm saying as in they see from their vantage point, they're thinking he has PTSD. We're seeing he's actually visually seeing things.
Yeah.
Us being the observer. But still, if you have someone who is is I'm having if I have a seizure once a month, I'd rather have a situation where I am, like, if I know my kid has like a medical condition like this, I'm making sure that if he's traveling somewhere, he's not traveling alone, like, at all, because the fact that if something happens, someone has to be there to take care of him. This is before the era of cell phones either, so like,
Yeah, that's true.
I don't blame her whatsoever. Especially, I understand she's being still a bit of a helicopter parent at this moment, but like, I think it's for the right reasons in my aspect. If he was perfectly healthy, a little different story. But like, they're still taking him to the doctor, well, who they think is a doctor, and like they think that they're trying to get him the proper care to make him feel better,
Yeah.
and it's definitely a situation where I can understand her being worried because her kid went through something that no one has ever gone through ever, and hella traumatic. So don't blame her whatsoever on how she's currently parenting Will.
That's fair.
Z snap, baby. Make sure people know at home what's going on.
Nope, we're just gonna have random snapping noises, and that's gonna be it.
ASMR.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. So then we see Dustin and them, where everybody's watching Dustin play Dragon's Lair, and I have to say it didn't look like a very fun game by the graphic. Have you guys ever played this game? Is this a real game? Do we know?
I can Google it.
Because I
Pretty
just
sure
thought
it is,
of
but
it
I've
now,
never
but
played it.
it didn't look very fun. But Dustin loses the game. Lucas rubs it in, being the typical "I'm better at you at this game" kind of trash talk. And then we meet Keith, the nerdy
Oh
arcade
God.
employee. He's been a bunch of random stuff, and he's just always awkwardly funny in whatever he's in.
Yeah, it's an actual
And
game.
we just have a. Is it an actual game?
Yeah, it's the graphics and everything look like the same. It actually
Huh.
might be an actual game that they were playing.
Interesting. Well, that's good to know. But Keith tells Dustin that his infamous high score of Dig Dug and Centipedes has been taken over and beaten by the infamous MADMAX, which is obviously a reference to, I'm assuming, the Mad Max movies from way back in the 80s.
To the
I think it
Thunderdome.
wasn't that Mel Gibson that was in those movies? Or am I thinking of something different? I think that was a young Mel Gibson in Mad Max.
I'm not. No, it was not Mad Max. It was. I don't think. I don't think it was Mel Gibson.
No,
I actually
I'm
don't
probably
remember.
getting my 80s franchises mixed
It was
up.
Mel Gibson. Yeah.
Oh,
Good
well,
call
I
on
was
that
right.
one, buddy. Um.
Seen a lot of
Yeah.
movies, not as many as Mitchell, but I've seen quite a few.
No, I was just going to make that comment to knock him
I
down.
will never say that I've ever come close to watching as many movies as Mitchell has. Mitchell will forever have that title, and I will allow him to have that title.
What if
Thank
you've
you.
seen the same
I
movie
need something.
more amount of times though?
Then I can make the argument, but I don't know. That's still risky claim to take.
Nope, you
Yep.
cannot claim that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
the hair threw me off on Mad Max, especially like definitely Mel's hair is more like poofier. That's why I didn't realize it at first. And then he goes
Yeah.
really long hair in that, especially in 3, which is my favorite personally.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
have not seen any. That's not true. I have seen the first Mad Max. I just don't really care for it. I have not seen Road Warrior, which I know is a crime. I have not seen
It's
Beyond
not.
Thunderdome,
It was
and I
never my
loved
favorite franchise by any means, but it's still one of those like classics you have to watch once.
loved Fury Road though. That was a damn good one. Little overrated, I think, but still very
Yeah.
good.
I think Beyond Thunderdome it's fun. It's a fun movie that you want to like just like watch an like action movie and like it's a good time. I really did enjoy that one.
Tommy, you getting your drink on?
Oh hell yeah! It's
Tommy's
my
Tommy's
evening bourbon and coke.
nice. Alcoholism. Let's go.
but
Hey man, it's the only thing that keeps me going at night sometimes.
I gotta say with Thunderdome, the Master Blaster dynamic, those two characters, I thought it was very interesting. I did enjoy that, and the third one.
I was gonna say I didn't expect you to keep going on that, but then again, I did tell a minute story about shitting in a urinal, so you can go
No.
on you can talk about this as long as you want.
That's fair. That's a good point.
So let's move on to more awkward conversations. We have
Nancy and
Keith.
Steve.
No, not Nancy and Steve yet.
Damn it!
Keith,
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't you worry. I will let you
Keith,
have your Nancy and Steve moment.
is this a square yet now?
But first, we have to talk about Keith offering up information on Mad Max in exchange for a date with Nancy. Keith even wants in on the love triangle. Everybody wants
square.
in on it. He wants the square.
You saw Keith. Keith ain't getting a damn thing. What?
Oh
what?
no, not a chance in hell.
No.
But even
Keith-
like Dustin and Lucas are like, yeah, like do it. And Mike, being a good brother, was like, no, I'm not prostituting my sister.
He called it out like harsh too. Like that was some strong words.
Like
You know
I
what?
love
Good for him.
Mike's sass in season 2. I think is like his perfect character role in this show. I will get to in future seasons, but I hate Mike after season 2. It's just he has a change. I don't like it. Season 2 Mike was funny.
Well, he goes from looking like a normal kid to looking like some sort of weird, like
We've gone over
if,
his
like
looks. Even
Dracula
his
and the
personality
Pillsbury
changes.
Doughboy had a kid.
Yeah, we've had this discussion, but it's just even his attitude and personality changes after season 2. And it's just I don't care for him as a character. Season 2 Mike though was funny. But yeah, so they have that awkward conversation with Keith. Mike denies him a piece of the love triangle or love square, whichever you want to call it at this point. he was
Love
denied.
rectangle.
Yes, perfect.
Let's make this thing a love rhombus, shall we? Get as many
Love trapezoid.
pieces in there as we can. Yeah,
I think Robert's the most accurate because the Keith's point is so far away from everything else.
exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And while this is going on, we have Will looking outside and seeing, I'm guessing what he thought was snow falling. And next thing you know, everybody's gone around him, and he's just looking really confused. And walks outside and sees a bunch of storm clouds, and he's clearly in the upside down. And I'm guessing from what we discussed last episode, I think Connor and Nick's guess is that he's becoming a flea or is a flea or a host is definitely leaning in that direction. I'm assuming Connor and Nick, you guys are thinking the same thing after watching this episode.
Yep, I definitely think so.
Oh yeah.
Because this is the first of several scenes we get, but Mike snaps him out of it. So we're definitely seeing Will able to kind of, for at least at this point, he can see into the upside down. We don't know if he can traverse it yet, but for the sake of the episode, he's able to see into the upside down.
Also, it kind of also something you brought up, and your qualms with the writing of the show itself, like what allows people to go into the upside down, and
Yep.
and No, because we just know like, oh, he just has access to it, and like, did the other monsters have access to see into the reality world too? And now I was just thinking about it, and also
Yeah.
it just popped in my head too is like, because we know the extent what 11 has gone through when it comes to the upside down, because the portal was only first opened as we know of with 11, but
Mhm.
does 8 have any connections with it? Because the fact that
That is a very good question.
because like she has powers, but like can those powers also tap into that kind of reality? So
And we will see if that ever gets answered for you.
We also get a first look, and I'll do a quick little self promotion right here. I tweeted out today. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm not calling it X because that's lame. At Mitchell Lee 10, I tweeted today. There was a Forbes like 30 under 30, and one of the people on that list was Noah Schnapp, and he's kind of been under fire for some political stuff. But
I feel like every
people,
actor is now.
yeah, but people were really honing in on like this guy has not done anything other than Stranger Things. Is
I'm
not lining
googling
to
him.
do anything
Which
after
is not
Stranger
true.
Things, and um, I just tweeted it that
Oh,
and
it's Will.
you're gonna get your first glimpse of it, and you got your first glimpse of it in this episode because for a lot of the first season, you're just hearing about Will. You don't really get to see Will. You're not really spending time with him as a character. Noah Schnapp cannot act. This and he's an adult now, so I'm not gonna necessarily just take it easy. He's a horrific actor, and that is something that you're going to get to see throughout seasons 2, 3, and 4. And I'm glad that he is not like the main character, because good lord, this kid is atrocious at acting.
Well, tell us how it is, Mitchell.
So I made sure to tweet out after that list because everyone was talking about it, and I'm like, this guy, once Stranger Things is done, it's going to be a lot like Taylor Lautner once the Twilight series ended. Just, you're done. Go sell car insurance or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Not at all. But, got to find a way to make a living. But
And sort of kind of going off that, it's not as important, but one of the fun facts for this episode is this is the first episode in the series where Noah Schnapp is actually listed as part of the main cast.
yeah,
I thought it was kind of funny how all of season one, he's the main character that they're looking for, but he's not
he's
even
driving
considered
it
part
all
of the main
forward.
cast. Yeah, because all you hear is his voice, and you only see him in the first episode where he goes missing, and then his Lord of the Rings moment at the very end of the episode.
Well, he
That's
was
it.
he was in uh the one hiding from the
Oh, the
monster.
flashback scenes, yeah,
Yeah,
but they were very brief,
Yeah.
I
very
understand.
little acting,
Not a main
very
character.
little acting needed kind of scenes.
And the older he gets, the worse he gets. So just,
Well,
that's coming.
now you give a lot of things for Connor and Nick to look forward to.
Yeah.
I guess.
No, there's a lot of good stuff too. There's
Yeah,
more good stuff.
thanks.
This is my one negative about the franchise is I just think he's a terrible actor.
Well, you can't predict how child actors are going to turn out,
That's very true.
and that's the gamble most shows take when they have
And given the
a
amount
primary
of
child
gambles
cast.
that they had to take, the fact that they only had one kid that sucked, good job, because you had a lot of others that have really done great work.
Yeah. So moving on from the party, we move on to Hopper and our first viewing of Murray, who definitely takes the hearts of many viewers in the episodes to come. Murray is just one of those crazy town conspiracy theorists that every town has one of them. And it's definitely during the time period where conspiracy theorists really thrived because you're in the middle of the Red Scare. You have a lot of government intervention where what does that
A
look
little
for?
after the Red Scare.
No, it's still that kind of
It
time.
goes well
You-
into the 80s.
Okay, I guess it's not quite McCarthyism, but
No, not McCarthyism, but just
okay,
the
sorry. Whenever I
essence
think of
of
Red Scare, I think
essence of the government can say Russia and the American people will just bow down to them and say do what you need to do.
Yes, the nuke
No, nothing was
you know,
questioned.
yes, the whole like,
And-
hey, we have this nuclear bunker that we
Yeah.
have beans in. Um, I think that I know I kind of talked bad about the actor at the beginning. I really liked the introduction to that character.
Of Murray.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, and it was nice to have someone else kind of saying, "Hey, I've kind of put some things together. What's going on with this?"
He was almost like a viewer of Stranger Things season 1, but didn't get to watch all the episodes because he has a lot of the key facts. You know, he
He's missing some
guesses
pieces.
that she's involved as a Russian experiment. Well, she was an experiment, just not for Russia. He references that 11 is using mind attacks and references the food store. That is true. And he also says that there were reports of her living in the Wheeler's basement. This was also true. But everybody thinks he's crazy because he's just a crazy town conspiracy theorist because he's just crazy. But most of the stuff he had was true, with the exception of like one minor detail of the fact that it was a U.S. experiment, not Russian experiment. And Hopper, thankfully, is in that power position where he can basically just shut Murray up and say, "No, I'm not going to listen to you. I got more important things to deal with." And he definitely seems like one of those guys for law enforcement where he just shows up every week with a new issue and wants them to solve it and wants them to take the case. I feel like he's kind of that kind of person, going off of Hopper's reaction to seeing him in his office. But
By the
that
way,
was Murray.
Connor, do you
Yeah.
know? Do you recognize that actor?
Say
Probably
actor.
not.
I went down a hole of something.
He's already Googled every actor in the show already.
I honestly I right Google probably another three. I did not know Will's the actor's name. And
No,
I thought
Murray.
Bill Murray. I knew Bill Murray. I love Bill
No,
Murray.
not Bill fucking Murray.
No, not Bill Murray.
Who? What
No,
Murray
he's not
then?
in this damn show. I would be talking about Bill Murray.
I
He's
don't
not in the
know.
show.
Bill
Dude.
Murray could show up in the show. I mean, he's very good at just showing up in random
I'm a
things.
demon. I don't know why I made him Arnold Schwarzenegger, but
Who Murray?
Murray, the character in the damn show.
Right.
Dude. Sorry. I spaced out. I want focus into.
I'll help you out. It's at the top of the fucking show notes where all the actors' names are next to the character name.
So the thing is because with I don't know who Brett Gelman is. I do not know.
Have you ever seen The Other Guys?
I love that movie.
You come to my house. You say my wife's name right.
Ah, okay.
Christina.
Okay. So the hole I was jumping in is I wanted to, without trying to spoil myself, was because they mentioned I was going to jump ahead a bit because they had this scene with Nancy and Steve over at Bar's place, and they hired Murray, correct?
No,
Yeah.
They hired
Yeah.
someone
not
else.
this.
No,
I don't think
no,
it was this
that's Murray.
Murray.
No,
Are you
how many
sure?
damn Murrays do you think there are?
I'll
It's
have to
this Murray.
rewatch.
that's all I thought because he said that like, he was a distinguished journalist. So like how long has he like my question was like how long has he been living in the town for? Because you were saying like
How long
he's like
has he been undistinguished for?
that too. And I that's something I was curious about because they said like he won a Pulitzer or something like that or some type of reward. And no, he was no they were trashing a Hopper like we actually hired an actual detective to find our daughter. And because like to me like did he move here before or was Bar's parents the reason why he came around in the first place? That's my question. Like he can definitely be still a wackadoo, but like I was curious like was he in the town before he was contacted by Bar's family? That's what sprung to my mind. That's what I was trying to look into.
That is a good question. I actually didn't put that together. So yeah, he might actually be the person that they contacted.
Because
I
they're
did
selling
not
the
put that
house
together.
to pay for that. And they just
Yeah.
like, don't worry about it. We all we care about is finding Barb, and we get the whole thing like, though Steve and Nancy know. Well, at least Nancy knows that like, no, I killed my friend or got her in a situation and she died, and yeah, that sucks to be her.
Yeah, that was probably the most awkward dinner they could have possibly had for Nancy and Steve, because Steve Steve just keeps playing off of the let's just forget about it kind of situation. Like, he doesn't seem to be the one that deeply cares about anything relating to Barb. It's kind of sad, but it's almost like Steve's reverting back to early season 1 Steve, where he's just like, "Oh, it's fine. Let's just keep doing our thing." And Nancy's just still living in depression because she let Barb down. And now
Like
her
I
parents are basically selling their life to try and find out where Barb is, even though Nancy knows exactly where she is.
like that
At
was
least
like
they had KFC though.
finger looking good.
We almost got KFC after that scene, by the way. We had to really exercise some self restraint.
Yeah, I just felt so bad for Nancy there. Like, it's like, no, how much willpower it took for her to say, "Oh, like Barb's dead," but at the same time, like she has to know, at least from what was I, it's implied that Hopper's like, can't say anything about this.
Yeah.
So, no, it hasn't been like directly. There's been no scene that's like directly says no talking about this, but like again, there's an applied thing like, oh, we can't tell anyone because what we've seen is just so out of left field that no one's going to believe us in the first place.
Yeah. So going back a little bit back to Hopper, we do see him get taken away to another case. He arrives at a pumpkin patch that's basically all rotted out and decayed. And the farmer basically says this happened overnight, and he thinks a neighboring farmer did it. Hopper calls bullshit. So I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are on this, because it does play a little bit into what happens. So what do you think caused the decay of the pumpkin patch? If you had to guess.
I thought about this. I still don't really know.
Okay.
I mean, I guess like
If you had
just
to be like Murray and put a wild
random.
conspiracy theory out there, what would you say?
My guess would be that some monster somehow traversed or like leapt, went through and started decaying pumpkins. I really have no idea. I was
There's a
like,
pumpkin killer
I
out there.
was like, I was like, I don't know who's doing this, but I guess we'll find
Like,
out.
So Connor,
so,
what's your take on the new serial pumpkin killer?
um, so like the first thing I thought of, like, there, I can't think of specifically of any more modern or any callbacks of this kind of scenario. But I kind of thought like a power where like things around you decay. Like I know I for those who oh shit, what's that show called again? Um, uh, Dean and the brother
Supernatural?
Sam. Yes, Dean and Sam. Yeah, Supernatural. So I know in that show, no, they had to deal with the four horsemen, and the horseman of pestilence, decays things around him and it withers. It kind of gave me that same vibe to it, where like it could be a situation where anywhere this thing goes, if I'm assuming this is the new monster or a effect of the new monster,
Okay.
it could have that kind of withering effect to things around it. Because it looked like things, or time could be warped as well. That's actually could be a good possibility. Because the reason why like this popped in my head just now, because of the fact that we had a scene later on with Will, and he was at the it was at the end of the episode, he saw the storm again, correct?
Yes.
And
Yep.
we had the scene, we had the faucet dripping, we had the top clicking, and then we see outside the door he has the vision again, the storm approaching. We see the, I guess, silhouette of the monster. It could be a very situation where this monster could have a time warping possibility too, where like the pumpkins could have decayed because time moved faster, and it could be a situation like that. And the thing that Will, like the scenes around Will going into the second vision of the storm, could be an allusion to that as well. So, no, just things that I've just thrown out here.
Definitely interesting observations. I will say nothing on anything you just said.
You better not, sir. I want to find out myself.
That was a
wanna
very
know
good theory, though. I do like
everything.
that.
I want to know everything right now.
Nope. Gotta wait till season 4. So the next part of the show, we get a bunch of little back and forth with a bunch of characters, but we get a little bit of Nancy and Steve talking. Mitchell, did you have anything you wanted to throw in? I know you mentioned the love
Y'all know where
triangle
I
earlier.
stand.
What's that?
Y'all know where I stand, and my position is not changing.
Well, you mentioned it earlier that you had things you wanted to say about it, so I wasn't sure what it was referring to.
Oh no, the only thing I wanted to say was, you know,
You just
get
want
used to it. We're on team
Well,
Steve.
I don't know. Team Steve,
Native
Steve's looking a little rocky with his
Stancy.
confidence.
We're calling it Stancy.
Stancy, that's the new
Things are
name.
to get Stancy up in here.
I'm still
Well,
anti-Nancy.
Well, poor Stancy is trying to figure out how to
that's fine.
make. Stancy is trying to make Steve's college essay look better because it wasn't looking so hot.
Let's just say that that the Antsy is doing most of the work here because the is a little stupid
Yeah,
to start, but he's also
and
he's also still well-meaning, but also stupid
Nancy
as
was
hell.
definitely trying to beat around that bush and not just straight up say like this is garbage.
Yeah, you dumb as hell,
Uh-huh.
No.
But we have
That's
that
all I got to
moment.
say about that.
We have another moment a little later on where Nancy tries to invite Jonathan to a party to get him to socialize. So, like Nick and Connor's complaint from last episode, Nancy's just playing both sides. We're team anti-Nancy. She's her heart's in the right
Yellow
place.
as hell.
Her heart's in the right place, but she just keeps kind of pulling these two along.
Is it?
I think it is. I think so. I don't think she
she's
has
a
any.
confused teenage girl, and you know what?
That
They
happens.
exist. They're out there, and that's why
I don't think there's
stayed
any.
single through the majority of my high school years.
I don't think there's any ill
Go with
intent
that.
at the moment. I think she's just really trying to get Jonathan to come out and socialize, but who knows?
That she does not know actually how to communicate properly and set proper boundaries. That's probably her issue.
Yeah,
She's like 6.
I agree.
16, yeah, sure.
Under
a certain age, they're all 6 to me.
You're not wrong there.
That's the way to go, Josh Giddey.
But yeah, definitely.
I understood that reference.
Hey, nice.
That went over my head.
Same here.
Look it up.
It's a under the age of consent joke.
Yes.
Got it.
Just it's an NBA player that got caught up in stuff.
That's the fact I was missing.
That's all you need to know.
Okay.
Anywho,
so that was the little love triangle series of this episode. They really were not involved at all with this episode. But we do see while Nancy what? No, what?
I was agreeing with you. No, the strongest involvement they had is just when they go over to eat with Barb's family.
Yeah,
that's the most that they get to do.
And we already talked about that. And just to have them standing there to watch Billy and Max arrive and see Billy walk in like the new hot piece of ass of the school. And Steve kind of realizes he's not the top dog anymore of the school. He's been taken down a peg.
Which makes no damn sense because this dude, like, I don't.
His character screams the cool kid of the school.
No, he doesn't. He screams white trailer trash. What?
Steve?
Yeah.
He comes from a rich family.
No.
No.
What's wrong with Dacre?
See, I help Billy. I want the only one.
Billy.
Ah!
Yeah, Billy.
No, my comment there was referring to Steve.
Oh.
Yes, but he's looking at Billy, and if I was Steve, I'd be looking at Billy going, okay, cool. There's a dude there.
Yeah, but you have to
Sure,
remember,
whatever.
Steve used to be the ladies' man of the school, and now he's seeing all these chicks
Oh
check
no, there
out
can't be
Billy.
two of them.
There can never be
How
But
many
two.
women? How
but
many
dead
girls are
ass
in this
though.
school? 5?
We don't know, Mitchell, because last season they only
You never got a
showed
head
like
count.
2 or 3. They only showed
That's
2 or 3, and then this season we've already gotten 2 new girls checking out Billy. So we
and
don't
one
know the
died,
official head count.
and one died.
Yeah,
That's right. One of them died, so now that cuts him in half.
the only other female character of that age was the random girl that Nancy asked in class, "Hey, have you seen Barb?" And she's like,
Oh no,
"No,
there was the other
aren't
one
you
that
her?"
like I swear like every scene is her going like, yeah, we're going to Steve's and we're going to have sex. We're gonna go to Steve's car and I'm gonna go give Mike here a hand job. Like
Well, that was
and
Carol.
like
Carol is taken by
yeah,
Tommy.
I
She
I
doesn't
forgot
count.
she had a name.
She's already taken. She doesn't count.
Yeah.
We're talking about single possible available women in the show, Mitchell, for
Well,
Steve.
there's like 2 of
But
those.
Steve is full of Stancy, but I don't think he's willing to give up the aspect of
Steve,
having
Steve is
other
not full of
women
Stancy because he is
drooling after him.
half of that. Steve is full of Stancy. You don't know how these things work.
But anyway, it was basically using them to stand there to introduce Billy and Max showing up. Billy drives, the cool car, I guess you will. In Billy's eyes, it's a cool car. It's got the California plates, so it just screams, "Hey, these are new kids at school." Max got the skateboard. Billy's just walking around like, hot shit. And then we cut over to Will. Fucking the bullies in this school, I swear, are the worst. Like, who would write Zombie Boy on a newspaper?
Middle
In our
schoolers.
in our school, if some
Hello?
kid came back from the dead, would you actually do that? Like, that's fucking terrible.
I guarantee you that if I had died and come back in middle school, it would have been 10 times worse than Zombie Boy.
No, I definitely agree with Mitch on this one. Like,
Somebody would have been
I
like,
didn't even think that
"Hey,
was
guess
that bad.
what? While you were dead, I had sex with your mom." There would be it would be terrible. You guys don't remember middle
Damn.
school. Y'all
Dude, like,
y'all were part of the damn problem.
and it doesn't help that Will
Hey,
was right.
I was
you
one of
were,
your friends, sir.
Thomas. No, you had my back, but like you had your moments where you were like, all right, I got to put this dude in his place.
I probably my comment probably been like, "Hey, you came back whiter."
Yeah, yeah, something like that. But
Something stupid and
zombie
corny.
zombie
not
boy
mean.
is mild.
I don't know.
But so like Will was already in this group of kids that was already getting picked on, so like easy target. No, obviously everybody thinks like there is a scene of Will going to his appointment to act for the quote unquote doctors. And people were just giving him looks like,
Yeah.
he is the outcast of outcasts because of the fact that he was missing for so long, and it was literally a funeral for him, and now he's somehow alive.
My
Like,
theory behind the zombie boy comment is I think it's that kid from the last season that made Mike jump off the cliff because we don't
Mr.
see
P,
him, but
This
I
boy?
think he's
Mr. P is
what's that?
pants.
Yeah,
This boy,
I think Mr. P's pants is the one who's behind the newspaper article.
Mr. PB. Can we talk about just for 2 seconds, just happiness at the buyer's house? Just like we're watching this movie and the kids are like, yeah, this is kind of lame, but like Bob's a good dude. Just peaceful. Just
we
nice.
we get a cute little family moment, and it's quickly
Not
ruined when the phone goes off.
none of this Terry. What was that guy's name? Terry, Scary, Barry, Flary. What was his name?
The stepfather, the
Yeah.
father. I forgot his name either.
Jerry,
Will's dad.
Gary,
We'll just refer to him as Will's dad.
Barry.
Will's dad.
No, his name is gonna drive me crazy.
Well, Google if you have to.
Google's
Yeah.
only a couple letters away. But yeah, that was a good moment. I really like Bob's character. He, like Nick said, he was the thing
Lonnie
that Joyce needed.
didn't rhyme with Barry at all.
Yeah,
But I,
you were kind of close. Not really.
Yeah.
yeah, kind of close. But I mean, it's just that nice little family moment, And this took place right after Jonathan kind of had a little sit down with Will. He walks in the room, and Will's kind of venting to him like, "Nobody's taking me seriously." And it's like, dude, you're fucking like 11 years old. No one's gonna take you seriously. But you can see Will's definitely struggling with his emotions, and Jonathan's just being a nice older brother. And they finally have that little moment of like, hey, we have a solid family for a minute. Joyce is definitely having more PTSD every time she hears that fucking phone ring. I feel bad for her, but Bob's really nice. He's comforting her. He's like, just pay attention to the movie. Everything will be okay. It's just like me and Mitchell. Movies are our comfort place. We go, we sit back, we relax.
Yeah, Jonathan, I thought was like solid over brother, like leaning into like no, Will's having his, I guess, I guess the best way to put it for him is self esteem issues because again,
Yeah.
he's going through the shit he's going through, and I thought that no, Jonathan being the big bro is like, yeah, who cares if you're a freak? We are freaks. Like we both know it. Like leaning into that.
Yeah.
And then Will going with the little diss, like, is this why you don't have any friends? I was like, oh,
That was a
damn.
perfect comeback from Will.
Whoever wrote that in there, props. But like, but it was a great dynamic to see them like actually bond together like that, and again, like Jonathan just actually showing support for Will and like kind of being a father figure in a way for him because he
Yeah.
doesn't really have that. And yeah, definitely I like Bob. Bob is and Bob making Joyce happy is like, oh, this is actually nice and sweet. I am actually no Joyce gets some actual normalcy as for once because
Yeah.
after the shit she's going through and someone making her happy like that, I thought it was very sweet.
And she has a reason to be on edge because doubling back a little bit, to talk about Will's doctor appointment at Hawkins' lab, the so-called doctor appointment, which is more of just a bunch of scientists running tests on Will, claiming it to be a routine checkup. But they're definitely doing brain waves, measuring his brain waves while they're talking to him, measuring different things. And another quote he says that is definitely important for your predictions is he describes feeling an evil presence that wants to kill everyone but him.
Yep.
That's some weird shit to come out of like 11 or 12-year-old's mouth.
How does he like?
Yeah.
I did write that down. Was like, how does he know what the presence is feeling? And because like he sees it, but like it's another thing of actually feeling it,
Yeah.
and that makes you question if that monster might have a closer attachment to him than we actually think.
Yeah. I mean, for all we know, he's the only living thing that had a connection with the Upside Down because of the, slug tentacle thing that went down his throat.
Well,
He's the only living person in the real world that's been physically connected to the Upside Down creatures, whatever we want to
yeah.
call them. So yes, I think your guesses of him being a host are pretty spot on with what they show in this episode, but who's to say? Because they're definitely leaning in that direction with how they pose all of those comments. But Dr. Owens kind of brushes it off and says it's, the anniversary effect from a traumatic event, and basically kind of does what every other character did to Joyce in season 1 of just don't worry about it. It's nothing. Where clearly they're all looking at lab results going, something's going on here, but we just don't know what it is yet.
Also burning away the previous like they're trying to take over the reclaim the basement.
Yeah. Yep. So that just goes behind what Nick said earlier. Big red flag from Dr. Owens. Weird shit's happening. He says, don't worry about it. No. not good stuff. So Nick, I think you're on the money with that one.
Yep. So as soon as he said that, I said, "No, your intentions are not good."
And let's be real
So
too. Like Hopper does not believe him either. Like
no, and
I think
Hopper even
Hopper's
kind of
inclined not to believe anybody at this point.
yeah,
How could you?
Hopper doesn't fuck around, but he's also on. He knows like, hey, we have to play ball with these guys for right now because they could have been much more fucked if they didn't make a deal with the government. So
And
he's
also,
kind
you
of
don't quite know what you're dealing with just yet, so you don't want
exactly
to. You don't want to tip your hand, I guess.
yeah. So,
Kind of
so
want to
Hopper's
wait
kind of
things
in that
out to see where things might be headed.
yeah. Hopper's kind of playing both sides right now. He's not really quite sure
That's yeah.
what he's supposed to do.
I thought it was very
Um,
funny too with the scene with Hopper and Murray earlier on, where Hopper is the one actually doing the cover up. And
yes,
I thought it was very funny him playing the other side there, where it's like,
I,
oh, nothing's going on. Like it's just aliens, man. That's your
I
best theories.
That's
I
why
like that scene
he's
too
a very
because
side
that played exactly into your predictions from last season, where you're like, oh, Hopper's definitely gonna be working with the government. He pretty much is. He's continuing the cover up and he's making sure nothing gets out, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. But I think we're ready to go into the final scene. I don't think we have anything else to cover, right?
I'm
I
going
think
to the
we hit
dock
all
real
the.
quick.
I think we hit all the big
I'm
moments.
looking forward to talking about this because
Oh,
it's
we
my
will.
favorite part of the episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
the competitiveness between Lucas and Dustin with Mad Max as well. I thought was very funny, where like they're both getting
Oh
jealous of
yes.
each other because they
We,
realize Mad Max is Max from school, and how she's kicking ass in Dig Dug. Which, by the way, that's my mother's favorite game in the arcade.
well, that's a good fun
And
fact.
I have that on my Switch for Capcom. It's a fun game.
Nice.
I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, that
But
was
yeah,
definitely a minor part of the episode, but the fact that the episode was titled Mad Max, it's worth talking about. But I thought it was funny the whole episode. They were just kind of going back and forth, like, "There's no way that's her," and
And
they were
Dustin's
right.
like, Dustin having teeth now. He's like, I got these pearly whites, baby. Let's go. I thought it was very funny and very cute. I enjoyed
Dustin
that.
is still one of my favorite characters in the show. Him and Hopper.
And like her
But
being aware too, like, oh, they're spying on him, like, doing the plant of the paper and having him
yep,
dig through trash to find out, hey, you stop spying on me.
yep, it's a perfect scene. And the
Uh,
little side note too with Mike and Nancy both being depressed. It's kind of a continuation from the last, the season finale of one where Mike's depressed about 11 being gone. We see that he's been radioing her every single night for the last 352 days, trying to get contact with 11 through the radio. And obviously, we talked about Nancy being depressed about Barb. But other than that, that brings us to our final moments of the
well,
episode where,
one more thing too is that they
oh,
actually
well,
gave that actually gave us a timeline as well with him trying to radio.
yes.
And because like
And that's what I was alluding to in the beginning when I gave the little rough timeline.
yeah. Because like it actually like solidified like, hey, we knew it was Halloween. We knew what we cut off was Christmas.
Yep.
And so we realized, oh, it is actually a full year now. And we didn't like mishear that there was seemed like 11 did say Mike on the radio, correct? There was like that one instance before Dustin cut in on his bike ride back. That was
I
like, oh,
think
I
that's
heard,
what they were alluding to or hinting at.
yeah.
I don't
Um,
I don't remember.
because I thought I heard Mike on the radio. I was like, oh, is 11 still in the upside down or wherever she is? And then we get to the final scene.
Yep. And Mitchell, do you want to take it away? I know you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I just like the fact that they end this episode with the reveal that 11 is staying with Hopper. So Hopper's been kind of telling people, I don't know where she is, but taking care of her. They've got a system where there's that little tripwire outside of the cabin that Hopper's got to kind of get over, and then a specific
Hopper's kind of
knot.
like almost like a doom prepper in my eyes.
Yeah, something like that. But also just very careful and knowing that a lot of people are trying to find 11, and just kind of gets mad at her. Not mad, but just kind of like, hey, kid, you had to eat your dinner before you have your dessert.
Yeah,
Which I don't
Hopper's
know if
definitely.
Eggos are really a dessert, but maybe they were to kids in the '80s. Which
They can qualify as dessert. You put some ice cream on there.
sure, why not? Let's just
I guess
go
it's just
wild and throw
dessert for
some
her.
raw
Yeah.
sewage on there as well. But
Oh my
no,
god.
I think that I
You're not an ice cream person? Like
no, I'm not an ice cream with waffles guy.
I've
The
seen that
hell?
before. It's
Really?
definitely like it's a dessert
That's
waffle.
Yeah.
how
I've
is a
seen that before.
dessert waffle? I get like a waffle cone,
You've never
but
had ice cream and waffles.
And like
That's
what?
What do you
strawberries and
think
like other
waffle
fruit.
cones are made out of? Waffles,
Oh
Yes,
duh.
I understand that.
Come on.
I get that.
they're just
Okay.
fluffy waffle cones.
Yeah, just because I have pizza doesn't mean that I'm gonna have a pizza and then have just a tomato to eat next to it.
Well, that'd just be silly.
Oh, what do you think the pizza has on it? That's tomato sauce. Yeah, but I'm not gonna just eat a tomato with it. Oh, it's
Plus,
pizza and this tomato. But yes, I like the fact that this you can kind of see the
Your
beginning.
logic has no grounds here, sir. Your
You
argument is
can
thrown
see
away.
I'm talking about the story. I've moved on. Uh that you can kind of see their relationship kind of blossoming. 11 and Hopper and kind of that father-daughter dynamic
Yep.
between the two, which after the stuff we learned about Hopper in season 1 and his daughter is something that really intrigued me about the ending of this, and I thought it was a really sweet note to go off of, or to kind of end the first episode of season 2 with.
Yeah. The big official confirmation that 11 is still alive. We kind of was
Yeah,
hinted at in the last episode, but now it's
yeah,
official.
no, there
She
was
is
never
physically
you
there.
weren't gonna kill her off.
No.
That wasn't anything I think anybody was really considering a possibility.
So, with that, we're going to move into our episode ratings and predictions for next episode. I am throwing in a new segment into the show where
okay.
it is going to be called Guess the Decimal, where we are now officially going to guess Mitchell's ratings before he provides it. So, Mitchell,
Hmm.
you have to write down your rating before we guess, so it's not biased and changed.
Do I have to write down the rating in the doc?
No,
No,
just so we
right,
can't
right.
see it.
Like on a piece of paper somewhere. You just hold it
Oh,
up.
I
And
need
we
a
are going to
fucking-
guess it to see what Mitchell's rating might be and
All
see
right.
if we're actually close to the
Let me
money.
Just
find
gonna
a
be the
damn
honor
pen
system.
and paper.
And we will continue with the Price is Right style if there is no argument against it
I think it's fine.
That works for me.
to continue off of
Um,
what we did last time.
While he's looking for pen and paper, Mitchell, can you still hear me or no?
I hear you.
All right.
We can give our ratings, but we'll then also give
I'm making sure he can hear my rating as well because I know he wants to take
Yep.
part. So I'm going to give it I'll give it an 8.3. It was good. Like I definitely wasn't as hyped as the originals, like the series, like the premiere of the show itself. But I thought it was a very good transition episode from the finale to the premiere. You set up some plots, nothing too extravagant, but I think they did a good job of putting the bait in the hook. I'm like, okay, Will's seeing some weird shit. No, we have a little silhouette of the monster, which also looks like they have multiple snake heads. Looks like kind of Medusa-ish in a way, or Hydra. I guess Hydra would be a better way to put it. And I think the bait's hooked. Again, there was definitely another episode where I want to watch the next one, but no, again, this damn podcast can't do that. But I thought it was very good. I'm getting 8.3.
Okay.
8.3. My
Or
rating
Nick, what is
a
your
bit
rating?
lower. Yeah, mine's a bit lower. This one was just okay for me. I'm gonna give it a 7.4. There just really wasn't
I'm a bit
a
lower.
whole lot. Really wasn't a whole lot going on. It was okay enough for me to be like, okay, I could see where this is going, and I'd want to watch the next episode. But yeah, in terms of like everything else, I thought it was just okay. I mean, it was the introductory episode, so I wasn't expecting a whole lot, but it was kind of just what I thought it would be.
Hey, to butt in though, you gave it a higher rating than you did the actual series premiere. So
So
Oh.
you went 7.4.
yes.
Correct.
Okay.
By the way, this is
Gotcha. I
your
just saw
prediction.
that Tommy answered the wrong number on the thing,
Shut
so
up.
I just want to make sure he had that right.
Shut
All
up.
right.
Always have to correct your mistakes. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm going to give it a 7.5. Same kind of reasons as Nick. It was a good episode. It was just a lot of emotional recovery from last episode. Everybody's still kind of dealing with the losses that they've dealt with. And it really wasn't that big because the two things we knew that they dropped on is that 11 is alive and that Will is dealing with some sort of host body, possibly being a flea, something going on with the Upside Down. Both of those were revealed at the end of the season finale. There really wasn't much progression on either of those fronts, so it was kind of just it was almost a repeat, an extended version of the last 10 minutes of the season finale of season 1. In my opinion, that's kind of how it seemed to me. So I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Now for the guess the decimal. Round the clock, Connor, Nick, and then me. What are our Mitchell predictions?
I'm gonna say 7.72.
I'm gonna go 6.94.
I'm gonna have to go 6.43. Only because in the beginning Mitchell said there's a whole lot of nothing going on in this episode, and I don't know. Sean Astin could have saved it a point or two, but I'm thinking it was definitely on the lower end.
So, what's the rule with this? How do you Price is Right style? You can't
Yeah.
Price
go
is
over.
right. If you're over the number, you're out.
All
I
right,
guess I'm
well,
out.
All right. And I did not do this on purpose. I promise this was not the vibe. This is not what I was aiming for. But I got a 7.32, which is the Jersey area code that I grew up in South Brunswick.
Please tell me that was
732.
not your justification for the number.
But no, that was just the number that I arrived at. There wasn't. It was like I was going
Like
7.32.
you realized after
Hey,
the fact.
you know, it just happened. But no, 7.32 is what I arrived at. I guess that makes me the lowest out of anybody on this list. But Nick and Tommy, you guys were also a lot on the same wavelength as me.
Yeah.
And clearly you thought I was going to go a lot lower. No, it's just not on the same level as a lot of stuff from season 1. I actually think this is the lowest graded episode that I've given so far because
That's
it is
correct.
kind of just a lot of like Tommy, you put it really well, recovering from what happened and just kind of like, all right, we're kind of just getting the car started back up.
Yep.
Don't quite know where we're going to be going. We haven't quite hit not even top speed, but just like we're not on the highway yet. We're approaching
To-
that. We're going through small
to me,
towns.
it felt like
We're picking up breakfast.
I don't know if anybody's read the Harry Potter books,
Yes.
but
Nope.
every book, the whole basically first chapter of the books is basically a recap of what happened in the last book.
But you
And
also have your getting out of the Dursleys for
Yeah.
the first
but
few
it was
books.
kind of the same, but it kind of like went over what happened last book. This kind of felt like the same thing to me. It was like, hey, these are the big highlights to take away from the season finale in the last 10 minutes, but we're going to stretch it over the course of 50 minutes and throw some new characters in there to introduce. That's how it felt to me. But with that, predictions for episode 2, Trick or Treat Freak. going off of how this episode ended, Connor and Nick, how do you think it's going to go from here?
Hold on, before that, what's our average for the
7.63. I definitely do, because I do on it looks like I'm looking over at the overall grading scale of things. I definitely do rate higher than you guys. So I definitely do inflate it a little bit. But
your
yeah,
opinion counts just as much as the rest of us.
I agree. It just everybody has a different taste. Um, but yeah, 7.63 definitely is it is actually the lowest average out of all episodes.
Wow.
So
Right.
by 0.1 compared to the second lowest was episode 2 of season 1. So, which makes sense because we did grade that one quite low overall, and you actually were the highest on that episode, Mitchell, and episode 2.
Yeah, I was highest on the first 2 episodes of the show. And then you
I
kind of actually no, that's not true. You were higher on
I was high on the first one. I had 8.5.
yeah. Yeah. But then the second one, which was the lowest one up until this point, I was like, "Hey guys, it's not that bad."
That's why I went a little higher for you because I thought you would be. I didn't think you would like it as much as the season premiere, but I thought it would be still good. So
It's all right.
yeah, it's all right. It's still C's get degrees, baby.
That
All
is
right,
true.
predictions. I actually forgot to write my predictions down while I watched the episode, sadly. But I do have some notes that I have questions on, which I guess will lead to my predictions. Definitely. Also, one thing I forgot to mention too is that Hopper knowing about Joyce and Bob and calling Bob the Brain. I'm kind of curious of like Bob's backstory as well now, because obviously he might be one of the ones like Will in the party where it's like, oh, he's one of the nerdy kids. Okay, so predictions. I think first thing I think it's going to drag out how long Barb's family finds out about Barb actual. I think I think the family will actually find out about the death, but it's going to drag out to like the very end
Of the episode or the series?
of the season.
The season, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to drag to the very end of the season where it's like, was it Murphy again? I showed up.
Murray.
Murray,
Yes.
thank you. Where Murray is going to be poking around. He's going to try to he's going to be a thorn in Hopper's side, and it's going to become some point where no, it's going to be a point where shit's going to hit the fan, and it's going to be like unexcusable where Barb's family would probably have to know. And I guess the other prediction, well, they kind of mentioned it with the, Dustin and Lucas trying to get Max to join the party. Of course, no, they both have interest in her. No, more of like, trying to hit on her, pretty much, for lack of a better word. But I can definitely see them trying to pursue her as another ally, possibly. Because no, that's real. She kind of does look like someone who fit into that mold of those kind of kids.
And it's funny that you say that, and how more specifically, Lucas is now looking to add another member to the party, specifically a female. That now that he's interested in a girl, whereas when Mike was, he was fully against it.
Yep, that is very true.
Interesting how the tables turn.
Yep.
The turntables.
Izzo?
Yeah, so my predictions kind of along the same thing. I think the the boys, well, really Lucas and Dustin, I think they're finally gonna like get a chance to at least have some semblance of a conversation with Max, and then really the only other prediction I had was that I think much like Hopper did in the first season, I think he's gonna like start his own like investigation by himself again and like investigate the lab again. And I think he's probably gonna eventually go down that path where he just like starts to, you know, go rogue and kind of like do a lot of the work himself. So
Okay.
that's really all I had.
Good stuff. So yeah, I'd say let's wrap this episode up.
Cool. Anything else, gentlemen?
That's all I got.
That's it
Season
for me.
2.
Season 2 has begun. Thank you for listening with us. Again, follow on our socials. Stranger Nerds on Instagram and Twitter, because we don't call it X
Twiddle?
here because Twiddle. Sorry. So I
Twiddle.
just saw a band literally called Twiddle on Saturday. So that's why I was kind of popped in my head. Twitter. So Twitter, Instagram, no, Stranger Nerds, one word. And yeah, thank you for being with us, and looking forward to next episode next week. Whatever the episode name was, something about Halloween candy.
Trick or treat freak.
Yeah, that one. Thank you guys, and see you next time.